Alright everybody, this is Vanguard here. Wanted to show you a quick deck tech. I made this one on stream the other day. This is a Elrake mid-range path deck. It plays a lot of humans, and I think it's a tier 1 mid-range deck at the moment. So let's look at it. So basic idea here, like with most mid-range lists, we want to have enough value to just overwhelm control, and then hopefully enough sustain that we can get in underneath enough value to overwhelm an aggro deck, and hopefully enough sustain to get in underneath a control deck. So what we're doing here is primarily playing the path to Transcendence to do both of those things. This card recently got reworked. It allows us a lot of synergy with humans, and a lot of synergies with humans that generate emblems. So you're going to see that we're going to play Path with a lot of humans, and since we're playing Path, we're going to play this Sunblessed Emissary, because the Sunblessed Emissary, with its energy, allows us to ramp out the Path and also draw a card. That's pretty good. So those two cards form kind of one of the core mechanics of the deck. Once you've got the idea that you're playing Sunblessed Emissary with Path, you also want to ask yourself, are there any other blessings I want to play? There's probably one other one that's worthwhile. It's Nymir's Blessing. When you play this off of a Sunblessed Emissary, you draw two cards, one from the Emissary, one from the text of Nymir's Blessing. So we might want to play at least one of these, which we do, and since you're playing a Nymir's Blessing, you can effectively double it. It's kind of like you're playing two of them by playing Field OP, Field Operative, because it'll search out the Nymir's Blessing when you play it. And that creates a nice little package here. We have a Nymir's Blessing, a Field Operative that can search it out when it hits the field, and also a Sleep, which provides some versatility for the Field Operative as a card to search out as a one-of. That's a little side package. You don't have to run these three, but I think that they work well with the Sunblessed Emissary and Path core. Alright, so once we've got the Sunblessed Emissary and Path core, the idea that we're going to be playing humans, generating might emblems, where do things take us from there? Well, one place they take us is to playing Timea, because Timea is a human, so she works with Path, and every time she enters the field, she's going to put a might emblem down, so you can get two might emblems off her. If you put her down, stick her under the Path, put her back out again. She also is a card draw engine with might emblems, and Path's going to be generating a lot of might emblems, so Timea, really good in a deck that runs Path and Sunblessed Emissary. What else might we want to run in such a deck? Well, one thought is you want to run Primal Battle, because you're going to be generating some pretty big creatures in terms of stats. Those creatures should be able to take care of whatever your opponent puts down, so that's why we've got 3 Primal Battles in here. What else might we want to run? Well, we definitely probably want to run Sentry of the Light. It's a good 1-drop. It synergizes well with Path as well. You can put it down, put a might emblem on something, and then the 0/1 body goes underneath Path. It pops out as a 1/2, and effectively, over the course of 2 turns for 1 mana, if you have a Path on the field, you're getting 2 might emblems and a 1/2 creature. That's really, really good value. You can think of that, yeah, that's just really, really good value. So we play Sentry. What else might you want to play with Path, assuming you're running Timea? Well, probably the Cavalry Field Captain, in my opinion, the best card in the game at this 2 mana, 2 level cost. Others might disagree, but CFC lets you push through a lot of damage. It'll help you get your card draw off with your Timea, and again, it has a great enter the field effect. You plop it down, it generates its enter the field effect, and then it can go underneath the Path immediately if you want to. So that's CFC. What else might we want to do with Path? And this is what really takes the deck to the next level, was identifying that there's one other interaction that's worth playing, and it's Shield Emblems. Shield Emblems, which we generate off Kedrigan Warpriest, which usually doesn't have enough value to see play in a deck like this. The body, just at 3/2, isn't super good, but with Path on the field, this Warpriest generates 4 Shield Emblems, excuse me. You put it down, it generates 2. It goes under the Path, it swings back out, it generates 2 more, and at that point it's a 4/3. That's really good value. We're not going to want too many of these, and they are pretty bad played onto a dead board. But as a 2-of in a deck like this, certainly worthwhile. And then we're thinking like other shield emblem generating creatures. Well, and this is why we play Wonderbird. The other core card in the deck This plays in the colors that we are playing, and the shield emblems are excellent for generating speed. By generating speed, Wonderbird is going to help us effectively make our creatures unblockable. Most decks just won't be able to deal with it. This is not an early game card for us most of the time. Most of the time this is a late game card, although sometimes as an early game card it can help us get favorable trades. And since we're playing Wonderbird, we might as well play Force Mage Projector. We want more sources of shields. This one's a human, so it swings under path, and we're able to generate a lot of shield emblems. So that's the core of the deck with the synergies, and then take a look at the other inclusions. Steelnor Innkeeper doesn't have any synergy with Path, but does allow us to bring creatures back from our graveyard, allows us to shuffle creatures out of our opponent's graveyard if we're facing a nasty Reanimator list, and the Stupefy ability helps us get past walls, helps us deal with a whole bunch of unfortunate things that our opponent might do. It's an easy 4 of, even though it doesn't fit the tribal nature of this deck. The other thing that doesn't totally fit with the Might Emblem and Shield Emblem synergy, but that we want to play anyway, is Seluxio, because Seluxio is great in these card colors. Vulnerable to Suffocate, vulnerable to Fireball, but if you can get a Numir's Blessing on a Seluxio, or if you can start loading up a Seluxio with Might Emblems and Shields, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. Finally, we're going to run 4 Cleanse. This deck is generally going into the longer game, and Cleanse at its current cost is just really, really good. It removes anything and it draws a card for 5 mana. You're not going to play it as much early game, but late game it's well worth it. The inclusion of 4 Cleanse and 3 Primal Battle allows us to play a much smaller number of shrines. We're only running 16 in this list: the Order Shrines, the Wisdom Shrines, and the Valleys. So what is this deck good at? This deck is pretty good at usually outvaluing most control lists. It is good at outvaluing most aggro lists. Oh, I forgot, we have the Symbol of Faith as a one-of, just something your opponent has to play around, and it provides some healing. Most of the time you're going to be able to outvalue aggro lists. You're just going to be putting down too much in terms of shield emblems for a deck like Rage Rush or Red Soldiers to get through you. Red Soldiers might be able to generate big enough creatures to cause problems, but for the most part, this is favored against aggro. Against other mid-range, against most of their mid-range, you're going to generate a lot of value as well. The one dominant mid-range deck that I think is slightly not in your favor is the Diagen Tren Order Nature mid-range list. That deck generates similar amounts of value, and the Tren can lock down a lot of your creatures, or excuse me, a lot of your spells if you're not careful. Against control, this deck really feasts on Mono C, and generally on Reanimator lists. Most of the time, there's just going to be too much value for a Mono C list or a Reanimator list to deal with. Similarly, although I haven't seen the one-turn heal matchup, I think that you have enough answers to one-turn heal to cause real problems for an OTH list. Anything running Cataclysm is likely to beat this deck. You just don't have any protection against Cataclysm, you don't have any burst damage from hand, and you're really not fast enough to deal with Cataclysm. The other thing that really deals with this deck well is Mark of the Ancients, to the extent that I would even consider running some of them in the list myself. Marked by the Gods. The ability to just destroy a creature with an emblem on it is really, really good. This used to draw a card. It no longer does that. But even so, if you run into a deck like I did earlier today, running a lot of Marked by the Gods, you're generally in trouble. Good news is there aren't a ton of lists running a whole bunch of Marked by the Gods. So that's the deck, that's the basic idea. We're going to see if we can quickly hop into a ranked game so I can show you how it works. And if we don't get one within the first couple of seconds here, I will hop into an AI game so I can show you that way instead. Other potential inclusions that you might want to think about, obviously all of the numbers are variable and you can change them as you see fit. I would love to run Triangelica Sentinel in this deck, but it requires you to go to 3 levels, and I'm not convinced that going to 3 levels is actually necessary or worthwhile in the list as currently constructed. The hero itself, you could try something like this with basic Alexa, but we like Elrike because you're going to be getting a lot of 4-speed creatures. You have a lot of shield emblems that can help deal with the Elrike hero power's main weakness. And Elrike can usually get you cards that are outside of Suffocate range, which is a potential weak spot for the list. Okay, we're not getting a ranked game, so let's hop into an AI game and I'll show you how this thing plays. If you want to see a number of ranked games, I played a whole bunch of them on my stream. This is keepable against a Rage Rush deck. We're going to spark into Sunblessed Emissary at some point. There we go there. We are not going to need 2 paths. There we go. Oh, I DO'd the wrong thing. Excuse me. Distracted by other stuff. There we go. I'm playing a Shaman's deck here. So that should have been a better curve than it was. You saw the mistake there. But ramping out the path is pretty good. And now we can put a creature underneath. You put that one under. It comes back out. It has its energy back, which is pretty cool. And here we have a decision to make about what we might play. I think we're probably going to play Hero Power. And just keep attacking. Right now we have enough value on the board that I think we can afford to do that. He chooses not to attack with the javelins. That's just the AI being bad at the game. Now War Priest is a pretty easy decision. And again, we're just going to keep swinging because we've got the advantage. We don't need to worry about board presence right now, and there's not a lot our opponent can do about the strength that we have on the board. That time he attacks, that's correct. But we're going to be putting down another set of shield emblems. This time we'll do one there and one here. And now we have 6 damage that can swing in with Seluxio. And the one thing we have to be afraid of here is a really big opponent's turn. So we're going to put in a Seluxio and a Force Mage, I believe. Or Seluxio CFC. Seluxio Force Mage, Seluxio CFC. I'm going to do Seluxio Force Mage Protector. Put the shield emblem on the Seluxio. We will swing in with these just because it forces him to win the game this turn, and I'm not sure if there is a way he can win the game this turn. With the shield emblems down, you can hear my daughter in the background. That's not going to be enough. We'll let it go through. And on our turn, you can see some of the ways in which, let me show you how all of these things play out. We're not going to invoke that, but I just want you to see how big the deck can get in terms of speed. Look at what, like, that's a 5/5/4 speed. That's just ridiculous, and that's one of the core mechanics here. All of these have shield emblems on them. Very hard for the opponent to deal with if they haven't specifically teched against it. All right, and that is Path of Transcendence Humans. Again, hope you enjoyed the list, had fun creating it, and yeah, I'll come back at you with another deck soon.